Donald Trump and the Republican Party are going to continue to have issues with the American people as they give Netanyahu whatever he wants and turn a blind eye to the starvation of the Palestinians and all that, because the people can see what is happening. They don't always come to all of the most correct conclusions based on the information. Remember, the American people are perhaps the most propagandized two people in the world right now, but there was an August Harvard-Harris survey that found that 69% of respondents believe accusations that there is a famine in Gaza. 78% of Democrats agree with that. Something like 65% of Republicans and independents. Now, as with most polling results, you can take this in a couple of different directions. Now, you can say that it is objectively a fact that there's a famine. So the fact that 1 in 3 Americans can't see it is still pretty worrisome, but a heavy majority, I guess at the very least, do. I don't know why Republicans would be less likely to acknowledge that. I mean, it's happening. You guys talk about caring about kids. It would seem like you could maybe, I don't know, spare a tear or two for the children that are being starved to death there, but whatever. A significant percentage of the American people realize what's going on. Now, a majority, 61%, hold Hamas responsible for the famine. Democrats were apparently split over whether it was Hamas or Israel. 74% of Republicans and 60% of independents blame Hamas. A slight majority of younger respondents blamed Israel, but most respondents over the age of 25 held Hamas responsible. Now, of course, the younger respondents are less likely to get their news from the sorts of news outlets that, even when they do reporting on this conflict, are weirdly deferential to Israel. So it's totally understandable that there would be an age gap difference in where you attribute the blame. And look, if you want to say, well, it's a combination of the two, then on some level that is certainly true. Hamas is hardly helping the situation, but it's not Hamas that's stopping the trucks from coming in. It's not Hamas that shut down the network of hundreds of aid distribution sites and replaced them with 4, which are better described as recurring massacre zones than actual places where you can get food for your family. Hamas didn't do that. It's Israel. And even if at this point you still blame the conflict on Hamas, Hamas is not in the driving seat of this thing and has not been since day one. And so it's unfortunate that people have come to that conclusion, but in any event, they do at least accept that it's happening. Now let's jump to this graphic 9. So young people actually support Hamas overall over Israel now. A majority, 60% of 18 to 24-year-olds support Hamas over Israel in the conflict. Some previous editions of the monthly survey also found that a majority of the age group favored Hamas. All other demographic groups favored Israel. Support for Israel dropped 3 points since July. And look, I think not just in the United States and not just across younger age groups or whatever, but internationally, the reputation of Israel, or at the very least, the right-wing government that controls Israel, has certainly dropped over the past about 2 years of this conflict. Why wouldn't it be? Because every day there's another horrific massacre. Every week there's something that's worse than any bit of news you'd ever want to see. And it happens over and over and over and over again. And we're going to profile one of those in just a few minutes on this program. Now, I'm sure Fox is probably having a lot of fun with the idea that young people favor Hamas. I think that really comes down to the wording of these polls. I don't think the vast majority of young people really give a damn about Hamas. They give a damn about the Palestinian people. And they know that, I guess, Hamas is more on the side of the Palestinian people than the IDF is, certainly. That's indisputable. And so take from this what you will. There's another survey. 37% of Americans sympathized more with the Palestinians, 36% with the Israelis. Finding marked an all-time high for the Palestinians and a record low for Israelis since the poll began asking the question in 2001. And look, basically, it's still within the margin of error, right? It's a 1 percentage point difference. And I want to be hopeful and optimistic about the fact that this represents fundamental difference in how this poll has ever looked over the past 20, 25 years or whatever. But like, 1 percentage point more have more sympathy for the Palestinians than the Israelis? Like, I understand that we call this like a war, but do people understand that it's not like it's like there's a battle in Israel and then a battle in Gaza and then an attack on Israel and then an attack? That's not what this has been. This isn't even a war, really. Let's be very clear. Palestine does not, cannot, never has been able to have a military. It's just civilians it's 83% civilians being gunned down. You can have and should have lingering sympathy for the events of October 7th, for the family and friends who lost people or still haven't gotten their loved ones back. You can have empathy for that. But the idea that you would have equal empathy for the people of both countries when only one has been occupied, only one faces daily massacres, only one has lost a generation of children, I don't understand that literally at all. And by the way, you can have admiration for the Israelis in Israel that have protested against this, those who have defied what I'm sure is constant propaganda and insane societal pressure to sign on to whatever the latest IDF massacre is. You can and should have a lot of admiration for those people. And there have been a lot. Tel Aviv had massive marches and all that. But the idea that you would have equal empathy when only one side is being intentionally starved right now, only one side faces the inevitable short-term ethnic cleansing of their land, to be boxed up and shipped off to some slum somewhere in the world. Like, does everyone understand that's not gonna happen, Israel? The Israelis of Tel Aviv are not gonna be like put into trucks and sent to Morocco. That's not a thing that's going to happen. Israel is gonna continue to flourish. They're gonna have their country, they're gonna have their society, they're gonna have their brunch. It's only the Palestinians that are being shipped away. They're the ones who are being cleansed. In Gaza now, in West Bank soon, and that is already in the beginning phases. So like this is progress, but it's still sheer madness that it's a coin toss where your empathy lies, considering how transparent and constant and unrelenting the evil has been.